a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm Roger King. I'm the founder of Bay Angels. I've been making investments in early stage technology companies for about 17 years. I've got what I think is a very good nose for deals. We invested in OpenTable early on, to name one. We did PhotoBucket before they were acquired by Fox Media. So angel investing for me is very high risk and it's very high reward. So when we make a bet on a company, we probably lose 9 out of 10 bets, and the one bet makes up for all of the others. We look for companies that can scale easily without a lot of capital, companies that solve a large problem, and lately we've been looking for companies that also do good on a social basis, maybe create water purification systems. So what's interesting now is there's a whole new movement for companies that not only make money, but they also do what we call a social purpose, providing a service to humanity or resolving a problem. In the old days, if you were looking at social good, it was basically a donation. You gave money to something because you believed in the cause and you didn't expect anything in return. Well, nowadays you can do both. You can make money and feel good about what you're doing with your money.
I think you bring up a good point that when you're thinking about a private equity investment, this is not like the stock market where you're just going to put some money in and then maybe get it out next week or in a month or something if you're trying to just play it for that. You have to think about it for the long term. So when I think about investments, I'm looking for, from the customer's perspective, why would I buy the product? Why will someone benefit from buying this? And the basic reason that they do that, they're willing to pay cash or money for a product or service, is that the service or product is worth more than the money they're spending. And I'm looking for that in the business, because if you can have all kinds of great ways of making money, but they don't sustain themselves unless there is value that gets created. And so in the private equity thing, you might be in a deal for 5-10 years. I hear some are in 15 years, maybe before you can get your money out. You can't look at this as a short-term play. You have to look at it as an ongoing business that's providing good for people, providing value for them. Well, I don't think I have a lot of secrets there, so I'm happy to share them. But at Nobility Ventures, when I first met Renato Librich, he's running Bowtie. He's launching his mobile app here on Monday. The first meeting, immediately you can tell that this person has a plan. He's a big thinker. And when I invest in the team. I invest in the leader, but also the team. And I want to know that when I'm investing potentially for 10 years, that these guys are going to be able to pull it off and run with it for the long term. And so, to be honest, I do see a ton of these startups that come through. They have a good idea, but maybe the people that are running the company or have the idea, they aren't the right leaders to take it to the next level. It doesn't mean they don't have a good idea. A lot of times it's a very good idea, but you just need it led with other talent sometimes, So in those cases, I will work with them and I will coach them free of charge, just to help them with their idea. The reason I do this is I've been through 4 startups myself. 2 times as CTO and other times as the leader in the company, and I know what it takes, just because I'm being a bad guy and not investing or something. But I want them to understand ways that they can improve their business, either improve their skills, make better connections. Maybe they need to think about the business in a different way to improve the market or improve the profitability. And so I try to give them, I'm not an expert in all business, but where I can, or where I can introduce them to an expert, I try to do that so that they can get the best way to leverage and go forward. I might not invest now, but in a year, after they've developed the idea further and with some additional resources, I might be very interested. And so it's like I say, it's got to be a long-term idea, and they've got to be committed to it. And I want, even the ones I don't invest in, I will support them. In the case of this Bowtie application, the thing that got my attention right away is he's positioned just at the right time when the payments industry is changing in the United States. This does not happen very often. There are a lot of big players, but there's this little niche right here where he has an opportunity to get in. And it mainly has to do with PayPal exiting from eBay. They're getting spun off as a separate company, and these big players are trying to grab market share in the online mobile payment space. He's in that place to ride that wave. And so I see this timing, but I also see that he has a big market. He can transfer the money worldwide for gifting, and I see that he's also got a very capable team. I didn't talk about it before, but he's got one team member that just joined him that turned down millions of dollars in stock options from Google to come join his team. And so this is one of the technologists that's joined there. So this says something to me that there's something there, something worth believing in. And so that's what one thing I'm looking for the leader of the company to be an insider somehow in his industry or have some background or experience in the industry he's addressing. So if you come to me and say you're in healthcare but you want to do something in online gaming, I see no connection between these. And so you may have a very good idea in your online gaming, but it's difficult for you to just transfer over. There's so much about the market that you're going to be trying to learn and figure out. So it's not a showstopper, but it certainly is difficult to invest in a person with only that. He needs other talent on the team or some other way as an insider that would bring him in and teach him the ropes quickly. But mostly I would wait for that person to have learned the ropes in the new industry. But if you say to me, I have a background in online gaming, and I've worked in here and I've seen the problems that occur. I know how to solve them. And by the way, here's an opportunity where I can improve online gaming. Now I'm interested in you because I think you have the domain knowledge and the connections in the industry and the ability to do it. Now, I also say I limit myself as an investor in this same way. As an investor, I know nothing about biotechnology. I'm just not in that space. I have other skills, but not that. So if even the best person in biotechnology comes to me with the deal, I won't invest. Not because it's not a good idea, but because I can't really accurately assess whether the idea is good or not. I might have an idea, but I'm not an insider enough to know. And so there's some things that are off my list. And so for the same reasons, the head of the company, there may be reasons I don't invest because they don't have the domain expertise.
I stay as low profile on the internet as humanly possible. I was on some of the very early versions of LinkedIn, and I got a massive virus out of that ordeal. So I completely stay away from everything now. And as far as investing, I'd say that the bulk of my background is in what I'd call typical stock market investing through brokerage firms, through E-Trade accounts. And over the course of probably 20 years, I've made 4 equity investments on my own. 2 have failed miserably. 1 paid off nicely, and 1, the jury's still out. That is a 10-year bet that's still on the table. So
it's climbing the league.
So try not to repeat what's been said. The other thing that gets my interest up, when you see a team, when you see an idea, and you get the sense that the people are competent, it's very similar to interviewing people for a job in your own company, interviewing a company that you might be interested in going and joining yourself, but just assessing the team, the concept, the company. Are there other investors? What's their position? Is there a lion in the group? Are they demanding any outrageous conditions for the investments of others to come in? It's not just the company. You need to protect yourself. Lions are dangerous to play with, especially when they have more zeros on the check than yours. And some of the conditions they can extract from other investors or the company can be very onerous. And once you're in, it's hard to walk away. So once you start, you have to be ready for the long haul. Other investments might be required just to protect what you've already got in. So to me, it's not just a one-time investment. You might have to go back to the well 2 or 3 times. So you need to really believe in the product, the company that you're getting ready to support. And everything that Andrew said about trying to offer support, identify weaknesses, have they looked at alternative strategies? Are they aware of the aware of the competition? Do they have already on the table plans to react if another company surprises them? In the trenches, when things are falling on you, is a wrong time to be planning an attack. So just looking at their periphery, what sort of capabilities do they have? Or are they just totally focused on what they're doing right now today? That's also sort of a danger signal to me. They need to have peripheral vision, and they need to have some idea of what they would do should events X, Y, and Z happen. I think that I echo everything that Andrew said. If it is a idea that provides a unique solution, it's not a Me Too. Me Too solutions aren't very interesting. It's already been done. Yeah, you can add a little chrome, a little polish to things, but you're not going to get a lot of wow factor in the marketplace. So uniqueness, that differentiation capability, the disruption factor, whatever you want to refer to it as, it has to have some element of that as part of it. And then good idea people are rarely good managers. And they need to know that and be willing to actually say that. You don't want to get into an argument with someone 6 months down the road when it's time to transition a 2 or 3 man unit to a 12 to 15 development team, and you know you have the wrong manager in the place. They have to know up front that they can take it so far and then be willing to accept guidance and leadership, help recruit someone to come in and actually take the company and move it and keep it moving. Comfortable talking very directly with people about the product, the idea limitations, the people limitations, their own limitations. And like Andrew said, if you have someone who knows that they're not good in marketing and they can hire someone in that slot, that conversation's already been had, and when it comes time to do it, it's very natural to just step in. If it hasn't been done already, remind them that now we need the marketing exec, now we need the CFO brought in. There are very few Bill Gates and Steve Jobs roaming the earth where you take a company from a concept in a dorm room in Michael Dell's and take it to multi-billion-dollar corporations. There are very few of those folks. So,
are you going to be an investor and just be the bank and just write a check and let it go, or are you going to be a typical angel investor and be active, be on the board, and give the person advice? So the first thing I look for is the ego of the founder. Is this person willing to take my advice and, as you said earlier, admit what they don't know and admit what they know and hire to their weakness?
With the person about this, because if I'm looking at a 10-year lifespan for this company, let's say, before I get my investment out, this person may take the company for the next 3 years, but I want them to understand there's no shame or no problem with handing the reins over to yet a more experienced person to come in and run the company after that. And I want them to expect that may be, if they're successful, that's actually very good, that they get to step away, and they actually may get a favored place in the company or get into a role that they can do. But no matter where you are at on the ladder in business, there's always someone above you who has done something bigger, something better. And so there's this ego thing, you can throw that out the window. You really need to be, okay, I've got a mission, I'm going to take the company this far. When it gets to be a point, I think Dennis mentioned the person has to be coachable. And if they are coachable, then they're going to recognize that moment. And if you have the conversation early, they're going to know, hey, it's time to get the next guy to take it to the next level. Now, keep in mind, their financial interests are protected here. Okay, it's in their financial interest to step away, because if they keep going, they're going to run the company down or hold it back. You need to get the next step in there so that the company will continue to grow, right? And so they maybe the ownership doesn't even change very much at all by bringing in the next person. But so my saying, and this goes in Silicon Valley, a small portion of a very big pie is still a very big.
I'm very similar in concepts with Andrew on this one. Early conversations, trying to assess the working relationship you're going to have with the management team in that company, and have the more conversations you can have up front early, the easier life is when that point in time comes to have the real conversation of now it's time to act.
Obviously, it's much easier to bet on somebody who's got a string of successes, and I'm not a big fan of failures. You can learn from failures, but I'd much rather bet on somebody who's been successful. Environments where we will accept failure and give somebody a second or third chance. So yes, we might take that bet. One of the things that I look for in a startup company is their idea not only large, does it serve a large market, but is it protectable? What's going to stop other companies from coming into the same space? Do they have patents? Do they have first user advantage? Do they have enough users that a Twitter or a Google will acquire them rather than try and copy them? Things like that I look for.
I don't know how it is in Russia, but in the U.S. we have a methodology called lean methodology, and you may hear this as agile or lean. Lean's probably the best word for it, but it's the concept of fail fast and then move on. And so in a business, in a startup business, for example, you may have a good idea, but you may not know exactly how your customer is going to react. And so you go out there and you try the best idea that you have, and they may not react the way you think. And I think it's crucial in this lean approach then to change it immediately, listen to your customer, change immediately, and find the next thing. And you may have to go through several iterations of this to find a solution that works. So in this place of discovery, where you're discovering what works, it's okay to fail. In fact, if you don't listen when you fail, if you don't listen to your customer when they're not when they're not buying your product, then you will fail, right? So you have to fail quickly and then move to the next thing. Okay, so that's one piece. When now I look at someone who has had a business who has failed, I actually look at their network of people who are around them, because I think it's the strength of that network that's going to cause them to spring forward into the next deal. They won't be down for very long if they have a very strong network. And so that's where I go if I see someone's failed before. Absolutely, I would invest in them if they have a very strong network.
The idea of a failure to me is not a major issue. I'm more interested in the conditions around the failure. What magnitude of failure are we talking about? And what did the individual do with the information about the failure when it was recognized that he was in fact a failed position? And how fast the recovery time?
We're in Silicon Valley, which is the epicenter of a lot of creativity. And as investors, we've got so many options in our backyard. We don't care where people come from, but if somebody's coming from Russia or any other country, they need to be here to get not only to get our attention, but to get our investments, because of the opportunities that we have in front of us. So I would say if you want to look at our money, you need to come here.
Okay.
Get excited about a foreign person coming into the U.S. when they have some level of business success with this idea in Europe. There was a French company that came in, and they had a series of workout gyms. They're doing some revenue over there. 300 stores already. That says there's something about their business model that works. So I get excited about that. I think there's still a challenge to sort of repackage for the American market, but with the right team surrounding them, this can be done. And so I'm looking for evidence of some prior revenue or some merit to the idea.
Very aligned with Roger on this one. I like proximity. If you have a report or you see some numbers coming out of the company, being in multiple time zones is difficult to deal with. Sometimes you just need an instantaneous answer, and being able to look someone straight in the eye is a lot better person to person than over Skype or some other video media. So I like being able to reach out one chokeable neck.
Shark Tank Showcase. Startups Shark Tank Showcase. Google it, or whatever you do in Russia. I don't know if it's Google. So Google Startups Shark Tank Showcase. It's an amazing ecosystem, and our shark tonight, along with his team, just took us to the next level, and we're going to just keep growing from here. So we welcome all of you.